think we're going. Okay. Hi, everybody. And just make sure that we're going. Yeah, I guess we are. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. It's Dean Taraborelli, and thank you so much for tuning in. And today, I had this idea about this word iatrogenesis, and iatrogenesis is defined as death by medicine. So, but before we get there, I want to just backtrack a little bit. And right now, we're having this global situation on Earth right now. And a lot of people feel different ways about it. And, we've spoken a lot about people's belief systems, and it basically boils down to this. How is it that, this person looks at this thing and says, oh my goodness, it's exactly as I hear in the news, and if I don't wear a mask and I don't do this and I don't do that, I'm going to get sick, and there's some evidence and a lot of dialogue to support that point of view. And then we have this other person over here that says, wait a second, this doesn't make sense to me, and I am not gonna, I think there's health risks of wearing masks, and there's something else going on. And both of these people are intelligent, right? But what makes this person think this and this person think this? And it all has to do with their belief system. So at the end of the day, we see the world the way we are, not the way that the world is. And this is called perception, and it actually is kind of the focus of what we do here at the sanctuary. And I work at a mental health facility, a behavioral health facility. So our primary diagnoses are addiction of every sort, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, and some combination of those things. And really, it's about helping people break through stuckness, and how do we do that? So, and when I say stuckness, this is not about people that want to go out and hurt themselves. And it's about looking at evidence that you and I would all look at and say, my goodness, it's so obvious that this person should feel good about themselves, but they don't. It's kind of like if you look at a person that's anorexic, an onlooker would say, oh my God, they are so thin as a rail, their health is in jeopardy. They look in the mirror and see the exact opposite. Oh my God, is there a little exit? So they don't perceive their body in the same way. So we can sit here until we're blue in the face trying to convince people to stop hurting themselves, but they have to go through this process of working out all of these underlying things. So, and that's what we help people to do. So watching these two groups of people kind of battling it out, and that actually is going to hurt us in the long run. We are tribal in nature. All successful cultures are cooperative, not competitive. So our overall health, as we conceive basically from the virus narrative, we depend on each other. So regardless of what you think about the virus, we still depend on each other, and we need each other. So the biggest shocker for me in this whole virus dialogue, and, again, who am I? I'm just some guy out in Arizona working and living at a mental health facility, but I've sat with thousands of people over the years who are really stuck. And it's easy to see why people are stuck around the virus, because there's so many conflicting information on the news channels. This guy says this guy says this, they're the exact opposite, and this is mainstream, so let's take conspiracy, whatever that means, out of it. But the main thing that has really struck me and stayed in my mind is why isn't the health people, the Center for Disease Control, the World Health Organization, who's the guy, Cory Booker, not Cory Booker, but the kind of the head health dude. I can't even remember what that's called right now. But anyway, why isn't anybody talking about our general health? We know, I think it's not in dispute right now, that this virus, people that are in compromised health situations are more susceptible to the virus. So, wow, that is like undisputed fact. It's everywhere. And so that begs the question, all right, so what is making us unhealthy? And why don't we try to get healthy while we're working on the vaccines and all of these different things? Why wouldn't there be a big push to say, okay, here's what makes people sick: chronic systemic inflammation. And that is primarily what we are putting in our mouths and the environmental toxins that are around us, that we are exposed to. So inflammation is actually a good thing. It's how our body heals. Chronic inflammation, my antibodies think there's something wrong, so I'm constantly attacking myself. So from what I understand, COVID is an inflammatory response. It's this major inflammation that comes. If I'm already inflamed, now I've reached inflammation capacity. I can't handle it. If I'm not inflamed, I have a better chance. I still have some room in my capacity for inflammation before it becomes terminal. So why isn't somebody saying, you know what, all this shit that we're eating, that standard American diet is making people sick? Nobody has mentioned obesity. Obesity is a big contributor to this COVID thing. Diabetes. All of these health issues are increasing people's chance of getting the virus. So I would think, and again, no conspiracy involved here. I didn't hear this. This is a thing. I'm like, why isn't somebody telling anybody to get well? This is how we spend our time at the sanctuary, talking about the holistic nature of the body. I can't just work out my PTSD. You don't go anywhere to get your PTSD worked out, but can it stay out? What are all the beliefs? What are all the structures that go with my PTSD that keep me a slave to it? And these are all invisible. So, death by medicine was the third leading cause of death in the United States. So we have heart disease, cancer, medicine. That's now been replaced by COVID, and that's probably because there aren't a lot of medical procedures happening right now. But let's talk about what this is, because this is not a criticism of doctors or nurses or everybody goes into medicine to try to help somebody. Hey, I work at a mental health facility. I live here. I have dedicated every dollar, every cent. We built this thing from the ground up. It's not for the money. It's to try to be of service, try to help people. So everybody's trying to help each other. So it's the system. So when we talk about iatrogenesis or death by medicine, what that means is I have problem A and I die of complication B. So an example of that could be something like staph infection. Hey, there's a whole bunch of staphs that are not treatable by antibiotics. So I go to the hospital to get my appendix out. I develop staph and I die. And that's an iatrogenic response. It's nobody's at fault. The doctor didn't leave the scalpel. It's not some big scandal. It's just part of the system. So if medicine is the third leading cause of death, I have to start to look at that. And again, it's the system. So we look at the system, and the United States healthcare system, we spend the most of anybody else on planet Earth by far, and our system is not designed around health. It's designed around sickness and managing symptoms. Managing symptoms. And that's actually, in the mental health world, that's pretty much what that whole thing is around, is managing symptoms. And that's what medication is all about. And hey, great to have it. But just because I've alleviated the symptom, I have not gotten to the cause. So if we go to iatrogenesis, most of the death by medicine caused by the medical industry is by medication side effects. So I am, and please don't hear that as an anti-medication or anti-anything. If somebody's suffering, help them, right? And if that means, we get some people that are so depressed, like they are their depression meter is so down in the red, they need something to help them get into the work, right? So, hey, let's give them some meds. But we don't look at it as a lifestyle. Oh my God, you'll be on this for the rest of your life. Some people may, but many people can actually take some medication and then be available to work on their issues and then no longer need the medication because their symptoms have reduced because we have dealt with the cause. So in terms of iatrogenesis, if medicine is the third leading cause of death, I want to make sure that, wait a second, how do I take care of my body and disinhibit my own systems that are not working right and get them going again? How do I reduce inflammation? Diet. You are what you eat. That's not just this is true. My brain cells and my muscle cells and all my connective tissue and all of my veins and nerve endings and all that, they used to be either an organic carrot, which my body can recognize, or some chemical made in a laboratory that my body can't recognize, right? So I can't digest it. I can't use it. What's interesting, a lot of obese people in the United States and elsewhere are actually undernourished. They're flooding their body with empty calories. And along with the empty calories comes all of these inflammatogens. So there was a doctor by the name of Kelly Turner, and she's in the movie Heal. And we were watching that one day, and she studied people that had a spontaneous remission from stage 4 cancer, 250 of them, and they didn't use the standard radiation and chemo. So what did they do? And it turns out that all of the things that they were doing are what the Sanctuary Program is really all about. But these people made some changes in their lives. And I'm thinking that if a person can heal from stage 4 cancer, I'm willing to bet that I can fight off a virus. The same way I ask this question a lot when we're sitting across from people. Hey, if a person can heal from stage 4 cancer, do you think you can get over depression? Do you think that's possible? And 100% of the time, the answer is yes. You think you can get over an addiction? Yes. So how did they do it? Well, they changed their diet. They took control of their health. So this is the part where it becomes really important with all the resources that we have, the days of walking into your doctor and realizing that he is giving an opinion. It's not the gospel. Granted, it's an educated opinion, but educated how and by whom? There's a lot of different medical schools out there. We know that Big Pharma has an influence in medical schools. These guys donate a lot of money. They're very connected. And so, therefore, the education includes a lot about pharmaceuticals. It's just the nature of the beast. So, taking control of your own health, because death, third leading cause of death, medicine. So, I think that right now, because we are bacterial in nature, right? Microbes, the first thing on this planet, actually 90% of your body is not human DNA. 90% of your body is microbes. It's mostly in your GI tract, which is from your lips down to your anus. There are trillions and trillions of microorganisms that are not human, and we are in relationship with them. And when we become out of relationship with them, when our relationship becomes adversarial, we get inflammation, and inflammation is the cause. I'll repeat that one more time. Inflammation is the cause of depression. And now if you look at guys like David Perlmutter, this is pretty well documented now. Not saying that trauma and all that other stuff doesn't go along with that, but trauma also causes inflammation because of cortisol. So in one way or another, inflammation becomes a culprit to our ill health and our ill mental health. So if my gut microbiome is out of balance, I get something called gut dysbiosis, where I'm getting a lot of unconscious signals to my brain that I am not okay. So that creates anxiety. I think it's something from out there. I can't figure it out, whatever, so I take an anti-anxiety medication. So that tells me that these microbes are important, right? They are so important, and I don't know that we're going to outsmart them with vaccines and antibiotics, only because every time we create a new antibiotic, these bugs are smart. Another stronger bug comes along, and then another stronger antibiotic, and it's sort of like with the whole Roundup thing. Now there are these super weeds that are resistant to Roundup because nature's smart. So I want to get in right relationship to the bugs that are around me, because this is a microbial world. I'm not going to fight them individually. I wonder about COVID-20 and 21 and 22. What are the vaccines there? And why don't we take a few steps back, focus on our own inflammation and our own health, and take our own destiny into our hands? And when the vaccine comes, awesome. When all that stuff comes, then we have the choice of whether to take it or not, but maybe we won't need it. Maybe we won't need it. So want to just share a little something that is, I hear a lot of people that say things like, well, this person doesn't care about people, just wants the economy open, cares more about money than people. And I don't know that that's true. And, right now, in order to help people get well here, we have a highly integrated, holistic process, right? That's the only way. What we put in our mouths, resolving our unprocessed stuff, dealing with suppressed emotions, having purpose and reason for living, healing our soul sickness. These are all part and parcel to helping people, and I've seen it thousands of times, people get well. We are holistic in nature, just like our planet is holistic in nature. So if you don't think that this virus is connected to the financial system, well, there's 35 million people, new unemployment claims. Everything is connected to everything. With now smart appliances, your washing machine is connected to the internet. For goodness sake, you're going to tell me that these things aren't related. They are. They have to be. They have to be. And when people, there's a big controversial movie floating around about, it's called Plandemic, and everybody's knocking the 20 ways from Sunday. The one thing that struck me in that movie was that, and I checked this law out, I think it's called the Breedol law, which means that publicly funded research can be privately owned. That data is intellectual property of the researcher. So what that means is that, hey, pharmaceutical companies, they used to say, well, I'm charging all this money because of research and development. Well, a lot of that research and development is paid for you, and then this drug is also paid for by you. So that feels like double dipping to me. Again, how did it happen? I don't know. But all of these things are considerations as to what's going on in our world. And as that all gets sussed out, where does that leave me? That leaves me responsible to take care of myself and become empowered and to take my own health into my own hands. Because while we're locked down or whatever's going on, I can be sitting around eating a lot of high fructose corn syrup, or I can be eating a lot of organic food. I can exercise whether I'm stuck inside or I can go outside. I can still move my body. I can still work on my energy. I can still try to connect and take care of the things that feed my soul. So what I'm saying is that we have a chance to do something about it. And I don't know about you, but I feel a little helpless right now in terms of what's going on out in the world and the different things that are going, and oh my God, lockdown, not lockdown, and now the second wave. I've already heard about the third wave that's going to be coming, that's going to be worse than wave 1 and 2. Where these things come from, I don't know, and I don't claim to know. But at the end of the day, I was like, wow, what can I do? Well, I can do my best to take care of myself so I'm not part of that statistic of iatrogenesis. So feel free to look any of that up. And I just send everybody a lot of blessings and encouraging people to do our best to stick together and to respect differences of opinions. That's what keeps a culture healthy, is different opinions, especially with all this information about this virus that seems to conflict each other every single time. And I remember when it was coming to the United States, it's like, it's affecting Americans different than anybody else. And I'm like, how is that possible? You know, I can understand if we were a totally homogeneous society. If you look at like Japan, everybody's much more Japanese, for lack of a better word. But they're much more homogeneous society. America's this total heterogeneous society. We got a little bit of everything over here. So when somebody says it's not acting the same here, what does that even mean? You know, and where's that coming from? And this is the kind of stuff that feels like it's a little bit distressing, let's put it that way. So I can't do anything about that. Take care of yourself. And let's band together in tribes, because that's what's going to save us. So thanks everybody for watching and being with me today, and sending everybody blessings and health and vitality and mission and purpose and meaning in your life, and some fun this weekend. So many blessings. Now how do I shut this thing off?